It's 6 p.m. on a Thursday, and the Bear Clan patrol heads out into the cold streets of the North End, the roughest neighborhood in one of Canada's roughest cities.
There's a cigarette. We love you guys.
They call Winnipeg the murder capital of the country. Ryan Nash volunteers on the patrol.
Right. There's been a couple of instances where there's going to be altercations, and we were able to intervene on those altercations between people.
Okay, well, we've got Flora, Stella.
We'll go down Dufferin.
The patrol runs for just a few hours, a few evenings a week, serving as a neighborhood watch in this poor, crime-ridden community.
Although crime rates are down, generally across the board, I find that there's a lot more gunplay and stabbings and that type of severe violence.
Much of the violence is gang-related. Indigenous gangs with names like Indian Posse, Manitoba Warriors, Native Syndicate.
Like, we've got racialized neighborhoods, just like the U.S. has racialized neighborhoods. But on the prairies, it's what stands out most starkly is that the Indigenous population.
Winnipeg has the largest concentration of Indigenous people in Canada. While the group makes up just 5% of the country's total population, almost a quarter of those murdered and a quarter of those in prison are Indigenous.
The perception of Canada is really that it's a human rights country. For the people that are inside the Indigenous community, that's not necessarily the same thing.
Leonard MONKMAN is a former gang member. He walks me through parts of the North End where he grew up, where friends were killed.
There is a lot of people out here that would be considered second, third generation. There's fourth generation people that get involved in crime.
You mean second, third generation gang members?
Yeah.
Wow. People born into gangs by being born into poverty. And history plays a big part when it comes to that poverty. Like with Native Americans in the United States, in Canada, early European colonizers devastated local populations. The Indigenous have struggled with that history ever since.
I have two brothers who have both done jail time because of addictions and that gang life. Poverty, homelessness, vulnerability. It's still that sense of belonging. And we don't feel love that much because of what we've done and what we've witnessed in the streets and everything like that. We don't feel that. So that was a huge part of my life right there that changed, and I needed to see community.
It's called 2/3.
Sometimes redemption comes too late. 2 years ago, Ian McKinney of the Manitoba Warriors was shot and paralyzed for life. His gang involvement started early.
I stole five pieces off my brother at the time. I went and flipped that. We got 10 pieces. Went and flipped that 8-ball. Flipped that to 2 8-balls to a half ounce to ounce, right, to half a brick, you know what I mean? And it just went on and on and on, right?
How much do you think being Indigenous played a part in getting involved in a crew?
People don't have much, right? You know what I mean? And all they got really is their family, right? So it's hard on everybody, right? Like, there's some kids, there's kids that are starving these days.
So it's Friday night here in Winnipeg, and every week at this time in the North End, there's a get-together here at the Bell Tower. We're headed over there right now, and the meeting's goal is to stop the violence.
Thank you all very much for being part of the Bell Tower family, and thank you
They
all
come together to talk, to build a stronger and more positive community. There's more hope these days with the new national government and its pledge to invest more in education and other programs for Indigenous groups. And despite the winter cold, despite the night, the bell tolls. The sound a reminder to everyone in the North End that the fight against crime, against poverty, and for Indigenous dignity continues. Melissa Chan, Al Jazeera, Winnipeg, Canada.